Today, we become legends.
So I recently made a video covering Freya and why she will never be balanced with her current design and some of the issues inherent in her current kit. A lot of people in the comments suggested she should straight up get a full kit rework, not the minor rework she's had before, but a complete redesign. And while I doubt we'll get that since Hi-Rez haven't done a full kit redesign since the early days of the game, I thought I'd try my hand at it with a new kit for Freya where she becomes a basic attack focused tanky warrior. So let's just jump right in with the design. So here are the base stats. It's all pretty standard for a warrior, other than a couple of things. We'll get into this in the passive, but Freya can't benefit from attack speed from items whatsoever, and so she's just going to have a standard 1 attack per second, kind of similar to King Arthur. Also in the passive, her basic attacks will scale off of her max health, so that's in there as well, and she has a standard 1-1-1 damage and swing time progression chain. But moving into the passive, Brisingamen's Blessing, Freya's basic attacks do not benefit from attack speed whatsoever. They have increased range and gain bonus damage based on her maximum health. Any attack speed she buys will increase her maximum health. So the max health contribution to her basic attacks is 4%, the attack speed conversion is 5-1, so you'll get 5 max health per 1% attack speed that you buy, and she has the standard increased melee basic attack range of 18. So Freya in this design will attack slow but hit hard. She benefits greatly from building tanky due to her max health bonus damage on the basic attacks. At 3000 health, this will add 120 damage to all of her basic attacks. Most of her damage in this kit will come from these, as she has very low ability damage, and any attack speed bought converts to health similar to Umoja, Arthur, and Cuchulainn. Moving into the first ability though, Vania's Call, Freya empowers her blade, causing her basic attacks to cleave nearby enemies and apply a stack of Vania's Curse on hit, slowing the target. When Vania's Call expires, all stacks of Vania's Curse on targets return to Freya, damaging around the target and healing her for each one based on the target's maximum health. If the target dies before expiration, the curse stacks will trigger as normal. While in Valkyrie's Rage, which is her ultimate, which we'll talk about in a bit, her basic attacks hit in an area around the target instead of cleaving. So the slow on Vania's Curse is 5% per stack, the heal is 1% of the target's max health per stack, and the AoE damage is 2% of the target's max health per stack. This will last 6 seconds with a cooldown of 12 seconds. It will go on cooldown after it expires, not as it's active, so it won't have a 6-second cooldown, it will have a true 12-second cooldown, and here's the mana cost as well. So Vania's Gift is Freya's main kit steroid and main wave clear as well. It applies a stacking slow to stick to enemies and a heal once the steroid expires or if the target dies, based on how many stacks of Vania's Curse you racked up in the 6-second duration. The cleave basic attacks allow her to clear waves with them, and stacks of Vania's Curse will also apply to minions, dealing the final AoE damage around them and healing her as well. You can easily get many stacks of the curse applied to minions due to the cleave, and when one dies, the curse triggers AoE damage around it, potentially causing a chain reaction of exploding minions that will clear out the rest of the wave and damage enemy gods standing in it. The heal is max health of the target, so while you can easily get 20 to 30 stacks of this on minions, you will only heal a small amount per stack because minions have low HP. Any stacks on gods will provide a larger heal and of course more damage. The damage in the area around the target is also based on the target's max health. Moving into the second ability though, Shining Aegis, Freya performs a parry with a very short window. Any basic attack or non-ultimate ability that hits her during this time will have its damage and effects returned to the caster. Regardless of if she successfully parries, Freya also gains a shield based on her maximum health and movement speed while the shield is active. While in Valkyrie's Rage, the ultimate, successful parries extend the duration of it by 2 seconds. So the parry window is 0.5 seconds, the shield health is 2, scaling up to 10% of Freya's max health, movement speed is 15% while the shield is active, the cooldown is 20 seconds and the mana cost is 80. So a perfect parry is something I've always wanted in the game, and Shining Aegis gives this ability to Freya. The window for this is very tight at only half a second, but if you can time it correctly, it reflects the entire ability or basic attack, including extra effects like CC, back at the target, leaving Freya untouched. It's also worth mentioning that this will only parry the first ability that hits her in that window. She doesn't parry everything that hits her. This of course doesn't work on ultimate abilities naturally and has a very long cooldown of 20 seconds to stop it being too frustrating. No one wants their ability parried every time they use it, and so this must have a longer cooldown than almost every basic ability in the game. Even if you miss the parry window, you still get the health shield and movement speed regardless. I'm very aware this will be a programming nightmare on par with the Morrigan, but this is just a concept, so I don't really have to worry about that. If it was actually implemented, it could just simply deal damage back rather than reflecting the entire ability effect, because that will probably cause many issues with programming. Moving on to the third ability, Enchanted Cleave, Freya dashes forward, piercing all enemies and dealing damage, ending with a cleave of energy from her sword that damages and stuns enemies for 1 second, plus 0.1 seconds per 10% of their current health, so that'll be 2 seconds at max HP. The cleave portion of this ability counts as a basic attack for all purposes. If the initial dash hits a wall, Freya may dash again, then perform the cleave, or cancel the ability to cleave immediately. While in Valkyrie's Rage, the ultimate, the dash gains increased range and the cleave hits all around Freya instead of just a cone. The dash damage is 50 scaling up to 250 with no scaling on it, the cleave hit is just standard basic attack damage. The stun, as I mentioned, is 1 second plus 0.1 seconds per 10% of the target's current health, so 2 seconds if they're at max HP. And the cooldown is 16 scaling down to 12 seconds depending on rank, and the mana cost is 40 up to 80. So Enchanted Cleave is Freya's only mobility. If she hits a wall, she can dash again, otherwise it's just once, and she ends in a cleave hit that counts as a basic attack for all purposes, giving it synergy with the rest of her kit. For example, this means it also deals bonus max health damage due to her passive, and will apply stacks of Vania's curse in an AoE if her one is active. The stun is also current health based, so it will stun for longer on high health targets, giving her some incentive to initiate the fight as a warrior. She can also cancel this dash at any time to trigger the cleave attack, similar to Cleanus 3. This includes cancelling it if she hits a wall to stop the second wall dash and cleave immediately if needed. But finally, moving on to the ultimate, which I've been teasing throughout the entire kit as it does interact with it a little bit, we have Valkyrie's Rage. Freya empowers herself with the magic of the Valkyries, gaining slow, root and cripple immunity, and converts all protections from items into attack speed, and this will bypass Brisingham's Blessing. She also gains ranged basic attacks for the duration. So the protections conversion is 5-1, aka 50 protections will grant you 10% attack speed, and the duration is 8 seconds, cooldown 100 seconds, mana cost 100. So this ultimate completely changes the way Freya will play for the 8-second duration and is essentially one massive steroid. Invoking her current design, it turns her basic attacks ranged for 8 seconds while also converting her protections from items into attack speed, which will bypass her passive. Do note that this literally converts them, meaning you lose your protections for 8 seconds to gain all these benefits. You go from a tanky melee bruiser to a somewhat squishy ranged damage dealer for the duration of her ultimate. You still keep any health you had and can still use her other abilities like the parry, so you won't be as squishy as a normal damage dealer, but you won't be super tanky either when you lose your protections. She also gains slow, root and cripple immunity to allow her to run people down in this ascended form. Being in the ultimate form also enhances her base abilities in a few ways. The massive attack speed boost and ranged basic attacks allow her 1 to be stacked much more easily. Without the ult, she only has 1.0 attack speed and can't go above that, and so the effective stack limit for Vania's curse is 6. Her 1 in the ultimate form also converts the cleave into AoE damage around the target while the ult is active, similar to her 2 in her current design, meaning she can potentially apply curse to multiple enemy gods at once if they're grouped up heavily. A successful parry from her 2 while in the ultimate form will extend the duration by 2 seconds. This is only going to happen once realistically given the 20-second cooldown of her parry, but it can give you a little more time in the ultimate form to run over people. And finally, her 3's cleave attack at the end of the dash becomes a sweep that hits all around Freya, allowing her to more easily hit targets and stack up Vania's curse if her 1 is active. The dash also gains a bit of increased range while in the ultimate to help her chase or escape more effectively. So as you can see, the ult completely changes her playstyle and amps up the rest of her kit significantly, basically turning her into a super soldier for the 8-second duration. So this kit is heavily basic attack focused and synergy based. Most of her abilities will be most effective when used in combination with others. Of course, the ult interacts with all of her basic abilities, but even the 3's cleave counts as a basic attack and so will apply stacks of Vania's curse from her 1. I'm pretty happy with this design overall, as it brings out a bit more of Freya's warrior side while also keeping the magical themes alive through her shining aegis parry and Vania's curse mechanics. It invokes Freya's current design a little, with her normally being a melee bruiser but turning into a ranged damage dealer when she activates the ult. She would likely be quite hard to play given the playstyle shift of when she ults, becoming really squishy instead of being tanky. That might be quite hard to utilize, as well as her extremely tight parry window and having to maximize the value of curse stacks for wave clear and god damage. I should have mentioned this before, but I know this design is likely not balanced whatsoever and will probably be broken. I'm not a balance expert, and this is more so for the concept and design than it is for actually being put into the game and balanced. Let me know what you think of this Freya design in the comments. What do you like about it, and what would you maybe change to make it more fun or more balanceable? I'll be excited to read the comments and join the discussion. Catch you guys at another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.